Hello everyone, what is up? It is me, Ewan from WhatCulture Gaming, joined today by Scott Tailford.
Hi.
I don't know why your nickname was Scotty.
Avengers, isn't it?
There we go. Yeah, we've been playing Avengers all over the weekend, and we've been having a mixed bag of a time, I want to say. I think the game really opens up when you play it with your mates, because that's the kind of the main focus of the game is co-op, but the beta locked you behind like 3 hours worth of content before you could get to that.
Ridiculous.
But I've been enjoying, the actual gameplay of it and certain different things, even though I'm still not fully there with the games as a service elements yet. I think it's just one of those things I'm going to struggle to wrap my head around. But anyway, Scott, there is some news regarding potential DLC characters that people have uncovered after data mining the beta, isn't there?
Yes, this nearly always happens when there's any big chunk of game gets out ahead of launch. You'll get people who dive into the code or whatever and manage to find out things that we're not supposed to know just yet. So this one comes from Reddit. There's a user called 6 + 4 = 52 who apparently data mined the Avengers network data to get a hold of potential characters that might be in the game going forward. And it seems like that they all have come with hero cards, which is the individual I don't know what you want to call battle pass style thing that's attached to each character in terms of how you unlock different skins and things like that. So the three characters that are going to be added to the game based on this are War Machine, Kate Bishop, and She-Hulk, which is cool on the face of it, but then you kind of realize that it's super easy to just clone characters that already exist.
That was literally my gut reaction when I heard this. It's like, you've already announced Hawkeye, and then Kate Bishop is, obviously when you're reading all these characters are always their own distinct entities in the comics and their own distinct personalities and the way they fight and stuff, but you can already see right now how easy they would be to translate to a video game setting, given that they share so many of their traits, or combat-wise, with characters that are already in the game. War Machine probably have more explosives, and hopefully will have that cool-ass minigun that's on his shoulder to wreak havoc with. But obviously, She-Hulk, just as strong as the Hulk, and Kate Bishop is also neat and tidy with the bow and arrow. So, there's all sorts of stuff to consider in that sense. And it did make me wonder whether it would be a similar case to how Injustice did some of their other characters. I recall that you could actually get a Jon Stewart skin for Green Lantern. But
that's cool.
That would replace the voice actor as well. So I wonder if that's going to be a thing, and whether these are actually going to be other characters. Obviously, we have Spider-Man coming soon, and then Hawkeye after that, and then I would assume Captain Marvel will be coming down the line as well, given the amount of references they have to the character in the beta.
Yes.
So yeah.
It's worth mentioning with Captain Marvel that back in April there was a Lego set for the Avengers put out, which a lot of people started associating with the Avengers game. To me, it is just Lego Avengers set over here, Lego game over here. They might be crossover. Captain Marvel is in that Lego set though, so is Black Panther. And obviously Brie Larson as well over on Twitter was starting to play the Avengers beta, so if they're doing some sort of PR tie-in thing, which Square Enix seem to be going all in on with this game.
You want to play as the Avengers, but they're all Verizon workers?
I mean, maybe. I want to get some chewing gum and
chew
get a skin
some
as well.
This is how it feels to chew 5 gum and then roid out into the Hulk or something.
I mean, it's nothing new in regards to that stuff, but in terms of the fighters, I was going to ask, because you obviously have way more of a knowledge pool with these characters than me. Are there going to be ways for them to differentiate these characters in terms of, I mean, like War Machine? My gut reaction is like, well, his L1, R1 and L1 and R1 together specials will just be different, but he's pretty much going to be, he's going to take flight like Iron Man, and he's going to have the repulsor blast stuff with additional minigun stuff. But does She-Hulk fight in a way that is different to Hulk in terms of just all-out smashing and doing the Loki one-leg grab over and over again?
I mean, I guess, She-Hulk is obviously more cognitive than the Hulk, depending on which interpretation of the Hulk it is, and, I guess you could argue that she's faster and more agile, but obviously in the comics recently, she has become more traditionally Hulk-like, so it remains to be seen how they actually cover her, and there are enough similarities in there. I wonder if they're going to maybe reuse certain animations from different characters, potentially. That's something that they could potentially do. I don't know. And then, with Kate Bishop as well, pretty much the same bag of tricks as Clint Barton in terms of trick arrows, normal arrows, hand-to-hand combat, that sort of thing. So the one character that, sticks out to me is them, out of that batch of 3, is them being able to, distinguish the most. I would potentially say War Machine, given Iron Man's weapons tend to be a little bit more sci-fi, whereas War Machine's more traditionally military in nature. He has the big chain gun on his shoulder, he has the rockets and stuff like that. So I wonder if that's how they distinguish them in that sense. And hopefully, if they are going to be new characters, they'll also have new ultimate abilities. I've had a lot of fun in the beta dropping the Hulkbuster on my mates and letting them roam around in it. So you'd imagine that War Machine would have something potentially different.
Yeah, man. Well, like you said with War Machine, and one thing like I was going to say with him, the amount of ordnance that he has they just sort of steered into as the MCU rolled out, where he's just carpet bombing half of the whatever you call what were those dudes, the Ravengers that came in?
The Chateau. Oh, not the Chateau.
No, in Infinity War.
Oh God!
I'm sure it's called Scavengers or Ravengers.
The Wave Riders.
It's been a while.
No, not why did I say Wave Riders? Just surfing
Wave
up
Rider.
to Wakanda like, hey.
Just coming in, Wave Race 64, doing what they can. But yeah, they sort of steered a lot into all that, militaristic stuff, and lots of explosions and everything. But it's, I don't know, I guess if we talked about the way that the beta plays as well, a lot of them sort of slot into, a lot of the characters had similar feels, I thought, if we just talk about the wider, sense of playing that beta. But I want them to steer more into differentiating characters. As soon as I realized that Widow can just grapple hook up onto platforms, and so can Captain Marvel can just reach out and grab stuff, I was like, well, that's how Spider-Man's going to play. It'll be the same thing.
There was a moment in the beta where I think I max leveled, or I got to a high level with Black Widow, not max level, but I got all the skills and stuff.
Yeah.
And there was a bit where I was chain zipping attacks to all the different aerial enemies. I was like, this feels very like Spider-Man in the sense that I'm doing that sort of thing. And if there was any character that kind of reminded me, she felt very similar to play as Captain America did. The very hand-to-hand combat focused. You have the traditional Arkham patented circle plus triangle to do mega takedown move as well. So there's that to consider as well. And I guess my main disappointment when I was playing it to begin with was that I wanted each character to feel almost like they were their own game, and I didn't get that to begin with. The more I play, the more I do see the variations, which is, might seem a little bit weird to say, given that your first impression is that they're so distinctly similar.
You do unlock more moves.
Yeah, but I do think that there's enough to distinguish them in there, and I'm looking forward to see how they introduce these other characters going forward. I think there needs to be a little bit more. The co-op is fun. I would like to see a little bit more cooperation in the co-op, in the sense that I would like to see more moves come together. Obviously, you can team up and do big takedowns together. But yeah, are there any characters you want to see going forward? Because you mentioned Black Panther earlier. I think Black Panther is an absolute must. I would love to see Panther. As someone who loves Daredevil, I'd love to see Daredevil as well, although I'm not necessarily certain he is, he's not really an Avenger, and I don't think he'd bring much to the game, but purely for my own greedy, selfish reasons, I would like him in.
Yeah, man.
And, who else would you like in?
Well, my default is always Punisher, but I don't think he'd be able to hang with these guys, although they've sort of spruced up Widow. But I mean, if they did a version of Punisher that is more like the original one that was in the animated Spider-Man cartoon, where he's got a jetpack and his little bandana and everything.
You might have the Punisher War Machine skin. Yeah. That was the thing. He stole the War Machine armor a few years ago, so he could potentially...
there's a way they could do it. And the thing, I wasn't expecting Widow to be as agile, because like you said, as soon as you start chaining stuff together in midair, it's very Spidey Web of Shadows. And like I said, as soon as you start noticing the prompts on different parts of the environment as you're running through, I was like, okay, I can see how they're going to plug Spider-Man into this on PS4. But yeah, I mean, I'm just the way that they've set the whole story up, where they've sort of narrativized the idea of plugging characters in. Like, you've got a team of people, obviously Kamala and Bruce Banner, looking to find different heroes to plug them in, to access them on the war table. That's a strange beat, because it totally makes sense and it works. But at the same time, you do sort of have this kind of weird roster. There's sort of fairly limited character pool at the beginning that's only going to quadruple in size or whatever over time. So it's one of those games where you might just be better off waiting until you have a more diverse roster in the next few months.
Yeah, I mean, that's totally something to consider as well. I remember when they announced that, the 6 heroes that we've seen so far were going to be the launch heroes. I was a little bit kind of like, I was like, especially, and given since what I've played in the beta as well, even though I can see that they all kind of diversify the further you go in, I did think that maybe, there would be more to each character if it was going to take that long to introduce all of them. But whatever, I still, overall, my impression was positive. If not, it wasn't like I was blown away or anything. It was a game in 2020 is the way I would call it. And, as a comic book fan and someone who loves the Avengers, there were definitely things that kind of got me giddy and excited. I definitely freaked out when Kamala finds the portrait of the Avengers in the first story mission, and you can see Hawkeye in there. I was like, he's there, he's got his little shirt.
You can see his room as well. He's got a little plaque above his room on
exactly.
the HQ.
I'm definitely excited for different bits of it, and I hope, the more heroes they introduce, the game will develop and grow stronger. And this is just, this is what it is to have a video game in 2020. It means that you launch it, and it's still not done, and it will never not be done. But maybe when it is done, it'll be fun.
That was my thing.
Saying that it isn't fun, but you know what I mean.
Yes, there's a lot of promising stuff in there. I think that my initial thoughts were, oh god, they've done all the worst things about gaming in 2020. Like there's about 8 different currencies, and the progression loop is really weird, and the loot system's invisible.
You want some Uru? You want some scavenged materials?
Yes, exactly.
Proton?
It's all that stuff, and it's like, okay, that's one thing, and that clashes so much with this really well-designed story, these really awesomely acted characters. The cast is phenomenal, the animations are phenomenal. There's so many things to like, but it's such a game of two halves. But yeah, we'll dissect it a lot more going forward.
Excellent. Yeah, let us know what you think of these potential additional Avengers characters down in the comments below, and also let us know what characters you want to see in the game going forward. That should be fun to look through. Once you've done that, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and head back on over to whatculture.com/gaming for more news on the Avengers over the next month and our review as well. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at YouBruinsThings, and you can follow Scott on Twitter at
@/LP89.
We will see you next time. Avengers disassemble.
Yes.
Disassemble. We're going. They always assemble. They never disassemble.
They beam out and away.
Except in that one comic. But that was it.